Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first session of our two-day webinar on Eyenor VMS Xpert, the next generation AI-powered smart analytics surveillance solution. My name is Farooq Ismail. I'm with the Marketing and Communications Department here at Norden, and I will be moderating the session today. With this webinar, we intend to give you an insight into what the future of surveillance looks like and how AI is shaping the surveillance industry and how it produces smarter solutions. Today's session, in particular, will look into the possibilities of video analytics for critical infrastructures in cities. And today we are joined by Mr. Julian Lim, our Director of Business Development APAC, who's joining us from Singapore. Mr. Mike Lewis, Head of Surveillance, who's joining us all the way from the UK. And Mr. Sajjan S, Business Head, VP, Innovation and Strategy. Before we begin the event, let me give you a few house rules. If the participants have any questions or queries, you guys could always give it out in the chat box. And also note that all the questions will be answered in the Q&A session that will be followed by the webinars, followed by the webinar sessions. So I would like to once again invite everyone to the webinar. Sit back and give you all your attention to the wonderful session ahead. To start with the session, I'd like to invite Mr. Julian Lim, Business Development Head, Director of Business Development APAC, to give an introduction into Norden and its services. Mr. Julian.
Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Julian, we can.
Hey, great. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you guys have been having a great day thus far. So just sit back and relax, right? We have plenty of exciting things to share with you guys today. Starting with me, I'm your first speaker. My name is Julian. I'm based out of Singapore, and my sole responsibility is for the business development for the APAC region. And of course, you know, we have two other esteemed speakers, Mr. Mike Lewis and Mr. Sajjan, who will be sharing with you guys a lot more, you know, exciting insights, right, in the products and the solutions that we have to offer. So yeah, let's kickstart, you know, today's session. I'll be doing a very short introduction of who we are, what are some of the products that we have to offer to you guys, and, you know, of course, how we can help, you know, in your business. So first up, who is Norden? We are a very unique, you know, one-of-a-kind manufacturer and the supplier of every kind of ELV and security systems, standards-based, right? We have all the necessary. Sorry. Sorry, did someone just say something? All right, so we are a standards-based, you know, manufacturer with all the different types of international certificates, right, for the product ranges that we carry. And we are actually based in the UK, right? The company started off as a structured cabling systems solutions provider. And as you can see from this slide, we have a full range of products, you know, from industrial cabling systems, which has, you know, fire-rated cables, right? Fire-resistant cables. We have different types of RMS cables, right? As well as control cables. So that's the industrial range of cables that we carry. We also have the data center solutions, right? We have enterprise cabling solutions, both copper as well as fiber, right? We have the high speed, MPO, MTP solutions, which you find in a data center space today. And we have audio cables, instrumentation and audio cables as well. And for today's context, the main star will be on, our surveillance systems, right? That's the Eyenor range of products. We also have public address systems, access control systems, exit sign systems, and UPS systems. Yeah, so continuing where we left off, we first started as a structured cabling system manufacturer. So naturally, we have the full range of SCS products ranging from copper, which we are talking about, Cat6, Cat6A, Cat7, and, Cat8 today, right? And a full spectrum of fiber optic offerings, right? Indoor, outdoor, single mode, multi-mode, MTP, MPO solutions, plug and play, right? For the data center space. We also have racking solutions, right? And in data center space, we are talking about, hot aisle and cold aisle containment. Hot aisle and cold aisle port designs, we have all the products and solutions, right, to help you guys implement a, up-to-date, data center. So that's for the SCS. We have our Eyenor brand of surveillance systems, right, a full range of cameras, right, ranging from PTZ, bullets, dome cameras, along with the necessary software as well as the recording hardware. So in short, it is a full turnkey solution that we are offering, right, for the surveillance systems. Next slide. So we have Secnor, which is our physical door access system, right? And we have the NVS, which is our public address system, as well as Celnor, which is our UPS offering. So at Norden, we take a vertical approach, right, to formulating, the go-to-market strategies as well as, product development. So our R&D is driven by key vertical approach, right? We have, on the left-hand side of the slide, all the different types of solutions that run on the ELV system, right? We have enterprise cabling, structured cabling, telecommunication, industrial cabling, security systems, surveillance systems. So where do all these solutions go into, right? So we have broadly categorized and segregated the market into these various verticals. We have real estate, okay, both residential as well as commercial. We have healthcare, manufacturing, oil and gas, education, retail, banking institutions, telecommunication spaces, defense, as well as government utilities. So just to share some of the key references that we have, these are some selected references that we have done, right, and implemented, deployed, in Europe as well as the UK. I think everybody knows Manchester United. So yeah, we do have our products installed, at the Old Trafford, right? So I think, yeah, Mike Lewis might share more details with you guys on this, right? So besides that, we have a few other references, as you can see, right, from the slide. So the Middle East, as well as, sorry, Farouk, yeah. So the Middle East and North Africa, we do have some key references here as well. So yeah, these are our main references from the Middle East and North Africa. So just to share with you guys the fact that, we are a very strong player, right? And one of the major players, in the Middle East region. Apart from these references that you see over here, we also have project references which are classified, which unfortunately we are not allowed to share, right, in the public because of some of the NDAs that we have signed, right? But I'm telling you guys that we have also built, telecommunication systems, for some of the key government facilities, as well as, some of the big oil and gas facilities in the Middle East. So for APAC, this is, where I'm based, right? We have some prominent, projects in India, right? Namely with some of the smart city rollouts that we had. In Southeast Asia in particular, I would like to mention the fact that, we have started, our operations in Southeast Asia probably about 3 years ago. And we had resounding success so far, right, in the Southeast Asia market, especially in countries like Vietnam as well as the Philippines. So one particular project which we are very proud, to share with you guys is the social surveillance project reference that we have here, right? In this particular project, we are talking about 2,000 surveillance cameras, right, spread across, the particular city, and the entire city security, right, is being monitored, right, 24/7 by our surveillance system. So how does Norden stand out, from the other manufacturers in the market? As I've mentioned, I think we are unique in the sense that we have the broadest product range offerings, right, and solutions in the market. It's a one-stop shop essentially, right, for all your ELV as well as telecommunication systems, right? We are strongly backed by a strong R&D team based in India. And of course, Mr. Sarjan, who will be speaking to you guys later, is, heading up, all these key initiatives. And we also have a back office team, right, of pre-sales and post-sales guys, technical guys. We have our sales coordinators. We have, our logistics guys, based there, who ensure that, all the orders are being delivered on time, right, and as well as meeting project schedules, across the entire globe. So our knowledge of copper and fiber optic technology is our strong base, and as we all know, this is the very much the backbone, right? The infrastructure that everything else sits on. If you are familiar with, the different layers of networking. So we are driven by innovation. R&D division, right, continues to churn out, new solutions every now and then. And we strongly believe and invest very heavily, in our R&D. So we have full end-to-end solutions and products at very competitive pricing, right? We have a regular market survey of, the similar types of product offerings in the market, and we benchmark, our pricing accordingly, right, to the current market prices. So this is to make sure that, we bring the best value, right, to our customers as well as to our partners. So we are still growing our reference sites, right, across, all the various regions around the world. And of course, there are some other project wins that we have, in the APAC region, which would be shared, accordingly when these projects are being deployed. So, yeah, as I've mentioned, we have a deep knowledge of copper as well as optic, and this allows us to actually scale up, with the other various product ranges and solutions that sit on this infrastructure backbone. So, as we all know, we are now living in a very dynamic and fast-paced environment, right? The last 2 years has taken us by surprise, but the company is quick to adapt to the developing market trends as well as needs, right? So, yeah, the COVID has actually thrown up some surprises for us. It has drastically changed the way we live, the way we work, as well as the way we play, right? And we do have the R&D division has actually thrown out some key innovations, right, to address this current trend that we are hitting, right, with the COVID. Everybody is implementing some form of zero touch solutions, right, to minimize physical interactions, right, and engagements. We have the Norden Academy, right, which is launched, right, to educate our customers about our product ranges as well as installation practices, best practices, right? So we also have a strong global presence. Okay, this next slide, please. Yeah, so this slide shows you our global footprint. Yeah, so as you can see, across the globe, we have, facilities, we have operations in just about every continent. And yeah, I'm wondering why we have nothing here in Asia. So in Asia Pacific today, we have offices in Singapore, Malaysia. We have also presences in Vietnam, the Philippines, Indonesia, and Thailand. Right, so we are all here, right, to support your business as well as your requirements for ELV systems. So that just about wraps up my session. I'm going to pass you on to Mike Lewis. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Julian. Just making sure that you can hear me okay. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Julian. That was really interesting. I really love just hearing my colleagues all around the world doing these presentations because it adds a different slant every time I hear it. So yeah, really appreciate that, Julian. I mean, one of the things hopefully that you took away from Julian's presentation there is that we are a technology company and we always try to push the boundaries as far as what's available. Just to give you a little bit of a heads up as far as where I am today, I'm actually in the middle of my summer vacation. So I'm actually sat here in an RV at the moment. The reason for the tight shot is that I don't think you'll be very interested in what's going on behind me. But I'm completely off grid, so everything is solar powered with batteries, and I'm talking to you at the moment using my 4G motorhome Wi-Fi system. So yeah, technology is the essence of Norden. We are always trying to push the boundaries ahead of the curve. And what we're about to talk to you in the next few slides is really, really exciting. It's all about AI, artificial intelligence. I think we can all accept the fact that artificial intelligence is the future of surveillance. It really does help us to make more sense and also take a lot of value out of our CCTV systems. So yeah, let's dive into the next 20 minutes or so that I've got to present to you on the VMS Xpert by Eyenor system. So let's have a look, see if this mouse works from the times that Julian had to keep asking Farouk to go forwards and backwards. I'm guessing that maybe it doesn't work as well as we hoped. That's the challenge of technology, I guess. So yeah, if we can, that's it. That's great. Right. So yeah, very, very good day to you all, depending on where you are around the world. Here in the UK, the time is just after 11 a.m. So yeah, it's the start of the day here, and I'm very, very honoured to be talking to you about this brand new part of the journey for Eyenor, for Norden, which is intelligent CCTV. So AI. What do we mean by AI? Okay, so for very many years, we've had CCTV cameras that literally just record that and also offer live images, but that's really the essence of CCTV. So what we're talking about now is the latest generation of intelligence that we can add to a system to maybe do the job of the person that would be watching the CCTV, to make more sense of the footage, and to alert us when a particular thing happens. So it's very important also for us to try and reduce the number of false alarms. If we have any system, whether it's an intruder alarm system or an evacuation fire alarm system, the last thing that we want is false alarms, because people will just lose all of their faith in the system and they will stop reacting. So a big part of the VMS Xpert system is to reduce the amount of false alarms, and so therefore every time you see an alarm, you can fairly well rest assured that it is a real alarm. Let's just go forward to the next slide. A lot of AI is about cause and effect, okay? So if something happens, then do this. Let's just, can we go forward to the next slide, please? Thanks. So yeah, cause and effect. If something happens, then do this. So for instance, if somebody moves in a particular area, then alert me, that kind of thing. So cause and effect is a big part of AI. A massive part and a huge advantage of the system that I'm going to be showing you is the fact that this system does work with Eyenor, obviously, that makes complete sense. However, it will also work with any system which is ONVIF compliant. So for instance, the CCTV system that you maybe had installed 3 years ago, which would be ONVIF compliant, hopefully. Literally, this can be a bolt-on, a retrospective bolt-on to that system to give you a huge amount of value to your existing, and I'm going to say dumb CCTV, okay? It will make that dumb CCTV system all of a sudden sparkling and intelligent. Okay, next slide, please. That also applies to any manufacturer that is either number one, ONVIF compliant, or number two, has an SDK, a software development kit, or API, application programming interface, that is available. Either of those three things make the system that you've got today totally compliant with bolting on this VMS Xpert system. Next slide, please. There you go. Okay, so here we've got a few slides just showing you what you can expect. So first of all, it's really important to understand that this is a graphical system. There's no programming with codes. It's not a black screen with a load of white text. This is very graphical. It's very intuitive. and user-friendly. So not only from a setup perspective, from an engineer's perspective, but also from a user's angle as well. So you'll be presented with screens that make sense. Here on the right-hand side, for instance, we can see a hierarchical tree structure that gives us the ability to bring in not only cameras from the local site, but also cameras from any other site. So across the city, across a campus, across the continent. As long as we've got IP connectivity, all of those cameras can be brought into the single same interface, which makes everything a lot more simple to understand. Okay, next slide, please. Great, thanks. So again, another layer of that view from the GUI, we've got different alarms. So for instance, one of the things that I'm going to be talking to you about in the next few minutes is the way that the VMS can be set up to create an alarm based on a particular cause. And this is the way that it would present those alarms to you. And again, as I say, these don't have to be Eyenor cameras. These can be the cameras that you've already got installed. So the system will present a number of alarms for you to acknowledge, as I say, from any cameras on the actual system, irrelevant of where they are geographically. We've even got the ability to control the pan, tilt and zoom movements of fully functional cameras, for instance, again, as long as they are ONVIF compliant. We've also got the ability to search using different attributes, which I will come on to shortly, but just to give you an example, search different attributes where you can actually say, show me any events that occurred because someone was, for instance, wearing a hat or not wearing a high-vis jacket. Very, very important. Okay, so you've got that flexibility with the system. Next slide, please. Sorry for the delay that it takes to go from slide to slide. One of the other things that's really interesting as well is we can display the sites and the cameras in a geographical representation. So here, for instance, we've got an EMAP, and on that EMAP, it's detailing where the cameras are or where even the sites are, and then we can actually drill down into those sites and show us the cameras per site. So especially if we've got someone that isn't that familiar with the topology of our camera system, it's very easy for them to just jump in from cold and to be able to grasp exactly where the cameras are. We can bring in site layouts and we can actually drop cameras in particular locations. So it's very easy to understand that the camera over there is looking east and the camera over there is looking west. So very, very intuitive and very, very friendly to use. Next slide, please. So let's take a look now at some of the things that the AI can actually do for us. And as I say, this is all about making our lives as CCTV dependent organizations, whether you are a school or university, whether you're a hospital, even whether you are a small organization that doesn't have the time to devote to someone watching the cameras permanently 24/7. The system does that intelligence for you, and then you can depend that you've physically got somebody sat there helping you with your surveillance. So let's take a look. Tampering. Okay, this is a big thing. If we've got a camera pointing in a particular location, and I'm sure we've all seen it on Mission Impossible and films like that, where the guy comes along, takes a picture of what the camera's seen and puts the picture in front of the lens, and the guard is watching the picture and not the live scene. Okay, we've all seen films like that. So camera tampering, the system, the AI system can actually alert you if certain things happen. Abandoned object. Now, I'm sure we can all imagine what happens in an airport if a bag is left in the main concourse, okay? Literally, they clear the concourse, they clear the airport, the bomb squad arrives, and yeah, chaos for half a day. we can actually create sterile zones where we can say we don't want people moving in this area, and if there is, create an event. People counting, okay, I'm sure we can all understand what that is. Missing object, this is a very interesting one which I'll come on to in a few seconds. We've also got the ability to do auto tracking on things like pan, tilt and zoom cameras, classification of objects, I'll come on to that in a second. Crowd detection, again, this is a massive health and safety issue that we can actually deal with these systems. Attribute search, we touched on this just, is the person wearing a blue jumper? Are they wearing a high-vis jacket? Are they wearing protective clothing? Tripwire and perimeter detection, again, we can create tripwires so that if people actually encroach into an area, then the system will do something. Graffiti and vandalism detection, again, this is a massive scourge on many societies that CCTV can help us to overcome. People falling, debris and fire and smoke are some of the massive benefits that these systems can offer, and they are the really exciting ones. So we've left the best till last. So let's jump in now and have a look at these in a little bit more detail. Starting off with camera tampering. Don't need to spend too much time on here. I think we can all understand that tampering with a camera is not good. Whether it's somebody slightly moving the camera to one side so we can't protect that particular doorway, or whether it's spray can paint on the camera, these are things that happen for a reason, okay? And normally the reason is because somebody wants to do something and they don't want to be seen. So yeah, that's fairly obvious. Yep, that's okay. We can stay on that slide. That's lovely. Thank you. So this next slide is showing us an example in a train station, for instance, where we want to be able to see if someone leaves a luggage or a bag or anything in a particular area. So the green box is actually set up as an area to monitor, and we can play the video, please. And we can see the two men talking in the center of the screen. So the system knows that these are actually people talking and they're fine. However, they've moved off now and there's a bag being left there. So very quickly, within only a few seconds, the system automatically detects that someone has actually left something behind in the area that it is meant to monitor. And it creates an alert. So straight away, the security forces or whoever can actually get and look at that particular event. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is intrusion detection and also zone loitering. So in here, we've got various parameters. We can draw a box or a polygon, any kind of real straight line shape, and we can tell the system to monitor that particular area for specific things. So for instance, if anybody simply enters the area, then the system will create an alarm. Remember, cause and effect. Alternatively, we can actually tell the system to monitor, but not create an alarm when somebody simply enters the area, but create an alarm when they dwell in that area, which is also known as loitering, okay? So yeah, the system is actually taking care of that for us. Next slide, please. Okay, people counting, this is a fairly obvious one. We can also use this to count objects as well. So here we've got people walking through a doorway, and you can see that the increment, it actually goes up for every number of people. Oh, hold on, let's go back. No, back. Back again. Technology. No, we're going forwards. Right, stop there. There you go. Okay, let's watch this. Okay, so what we've got is we draw a line or even multiple lines. It doesn't have to be just one particular doorway. We can cover multiple doorways. And then it actually detects the amount of objects that go through that particular line. So here we've got single people coming through and it's going up one at a time. But in a second, we'll see two people walk through and you'll see that it goes from 3 to 5. Which is actually determining that there's two people side by side rather than just one people. There we go. There it goes from 3 up to 5. And you can use that to count objects. So it could be boxes on a conveyor belt, it could be chocolates, it could be basically any object that we determine that we're actually looking for. Okay, so next slide, please. Now, this is a really interesting one, I think. Now, I call this museum mode, but really what it is, it's detecting an object that should be there that is no longer there. So here, for instance, the camera's monitoring this desk. We've got 3 items on the desk. Somebody comes along and takes one of those items away, and the system, within a second or so, identifies that that item is no longer there. We've got 3 boxes, so we can actually highlight 3 different areas or 5 different areas, whatever we want to cover. The reason why I like to call this museum mode is because you could have those boxes covering expensive paintings, for instance. Somebody comes along, takes the painting, and instantly the system alerts that someone has taken the painting. Okay, next slide, please. Right, okay, so we can actually characterize and also track different objects. So we can tell the difference, or the system can tell the difference between a car and a person and a dog. And then we can actually say, track those objects. And again, if we've got a fully functional movable camera, we can actually track them with our PTZ functionality. Again, the key here is to really reduce to a very, very low number false alarms, okay? So we need an engine that is very, very reliable that can actually tell the difference between these different classifications of objects. And we can actually do this in various different zones. So we can create a zone within the whole big picture of the camera, and we can say only within this particular area are we interested, okay? Very, very flexible system and very, very useful. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, from a health and safety perspective, we really want to be looking at things like crowd control and also the ability to be able to assess how big the crowd is. So here we've got, again, a metro station, and the system is automatically classifying the objects within the particular area that we've defined. And also, you can probably see on the screen, it actually counts the number of objects in that area. In a second, you'll see, I think the video should carry on playing. I think. Okay, maybe it's come to an end. Okay, to give you an example, what you can also do, is it playing? What you can also do is you can simply say, rather than defining a particular area, here we go. So this is full screen. So now the system is counting and classifying per the whole view of the camera. So just in a particular street, for instance, it's detecting and counting the number of people that it has identified throughout the whole view of the camera. And again, you can set trigger levels where it could raise an element of concern or an alarm. If there are too many people congregating in a particular area, then that could pose a health and safety issue. So again, it's getting the system to notify us when particular boundaries are crossed. Here again, we may have a particular health and safety issue if there are too many people in a particular area. So the system would alert us to maybe close the gates and stop letting people into the football stadium until the queue or the crowd has dissipated, and then the gates can open again and let more people in. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, right, okay. So attribute search, we touched on this earlier. This is really interesting because, nope, if we can just go back. Right. Okay, attribute search. So Julian touched on, what's been happening over the last few years, people wearing face masks, all kinds of stuff like that. So there were instances where people needed to wear face masks and they weren't. So we needed to be alerted of those so that we could go and advise them. But equally, it's important that we can maybe try and understand, is someone compliant with a rule? So for instance, in a construction site, the rule may be, no, let's go back. system is jumping ahead. In a construction site, for instance, the rule may be that people will need to wear high-vis jackets and hats and goggles. And again, the system can automatically detect that. And even on event search, we can actually interrogate it and say, show me all the people that weren't wearing high-vis jackets, etc. Great. So yeah, we've got all sorts of attributes that we can search on, color, figure size, hairstyles, all sorts of things like that that could be useful. Okay, next slide, please. I think we've just about seen all the slides that are coming up now. Great. Okay, tripwire. This is a very, very easy to understand one. So we create a tripwire and we basically say anybody that crosses that tripwire in either direction, because we can specify that, then create an alert. So here we're looking at an infrared image. Okay, so I think I can pick out a camel there. So that's definitely not in the UK, I'm guessing. So we have got a tripwire. The tripwire is in red, and we can just about pick out in the center of the screen, there's a human figure there, and he's walked towards the tripwire. It's important to say that he can't see the tripwire. The tripwire is just on our system. And you'll see when he crosses the tripwire, it automatically alerts, okay, there it is. That will attract our attention that somebody has now crossed the tripwire. And as I say, that we can actually determine which direction that is, either up, down, or both. Okay, next slide, please. Now, these, I think, are three really important abilities of this system. Okay, wasn't expecting that one, but there we go, we can have this one as well. So graffiti, this is something that I think every country must battle with. And, oh, no. Okay, so yeah, if we can eradicate or even reduce the amount of graffiti in our cities, then that's got to be a good thing from a social perspective. So one of the things that we can use the system for is to determine whether graffiti has actually been caused, or even vandalism. And it allows us to deal with the problem virtually instantaneous without having the need for someone sat there watching the camera 24/7. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, now this is, I think, one of the most important features of this system. The ability to have a camera that can detect if a human subject has fallen over, okay? And straight away, I can imagine that you can see the uses of this in hospitals, in elderly people's care homes, but also lone worker, okay? So what do I mean by lone worker? Imagine that you are in a job where you are on your own in that job, and maybe you have an experience where you're unwell and you fall over. You want to know that someone will come and deal with you and help you very quickly. Okay, so the system can actually, I think the video stopped. Maybe you can just press play. So the system can actually be your buddy, if you like. So the system can watch you and make sure that you are okay. And if you fall over, if you slip, or if you are unwell, then the system will automatically notify a colleague that can come and help you very, very quickly. As you can see in the video here, it seems to be in a hospital of some type, and this person clearly is in distress. And as soon as they become unsteady on their feet, the system obviously alerts them. Next slide, please. Another scourge on society is, and I think unfortunately we all have to deal with this, is people just throwing rubbish. And as you can see here on the screen, the system automatically detects that someone has just discarded a bag of rubbish. And again, we've got the video footage of them doing it. Excuse me. Next slide, please. And I think this is actually the last one, but probably the most important. So this is quite an interesting slide. And when it plays, what this basically does, the algorithms detect smoke and fire. So with the camera that, as I say, could actually be set up just for security. So it's not specifically for this purpose, but the additional bolt-on of the VMS Xpert gives us the ability to use that particular camera and add a layer of intelligence for smoke or fire detection. Now, I'm still trying to understand what this is. I think it's actually a petrol station. So we've got a number of motorcycles coming in to refuel, and everything's okay. And I still don't quite understand how or even why it happens. However, you will see the guy is refueling, and all of a sudden something happens. I'm not quite sure what or how, but clearly there's a fire. And straight away, within a couple of seconds, the system determines that there is now a fire, and it started creating alerts, and obviously people are instantly notified of a problem. So there you go. Next slide, I think that is the last slide. So I think it is. If the order, yes, it is. Okay. So hopefully you enjoyed that 20 or so minutes worth of my presentation. Obviously, I'll be hanging around until the end. And I'll hand it over to my esteemed colleague, Sajan, who can, I think, host the Q&A session. So again, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it, and I'm here to help in the future if anybody needs me. Sajan.
Yes, I mean, thank you, Mike. It was a wonderful presentation. I hope everybody enjoyed the whole thing, and you could get an idea about what we are trying to implement. So this is the new launch from the Norden Eyenor group of products. So till now we were having our focus on the hardware. Now this is the first time we are jumping into the software side of it, and in a very extensive manner. Like earlier, getting data on a remote itself was something exciting, but now the kind of amount of data flowing to a central location, maybe from tens and twenties, it's becoming hundreds, thousands, and 2000s of, cameras are being installed in single location. Eventually, it is becoming humanly impossible to personally monitor, and that is where exactly we play a major role, and or rather we wanted to bring in a bright solution that can cater to the real use cases any customer will be facing, be it in a manufacturing plant, be it in a hospitality segment, be it in a healthcare environment, be it in a public roads. In each and every walk of life we try to capture. And what I would like to comment is actually we are even open today. We are even open to work on use cases. If some of our customers, some of your customers are looking for any specific solution, yes, we are open to understand the problem. We can retune and refine the solution so that your life become very easy, and you will get proactive alerts to act on a situation than depending on a person to watch on hundreds of cameras and make a judgment. So this is the whole idea. I think you have enjoyed the whole session. So if there's any questions, you are all free to ask. Both of us will be available, or rather we'll be happy to answer you any queries. You can text also. I believe there is a provision given in the questions answer session. There is a provision to text the queries also. We'll be more than happy to address those. Maybe in the meantime, I would like to add one more point, which I am probably missed, or maybe it was not part of the presentation, is that we can even integrate the edge analytics that is already available with your cameras. It need not be Eyenor cameras that can work with the Eyenor VMS Xpert. It can be any on-with camera that can coexist with the VMS Xpert. So that is the beauty of it. So it's a heterogeneous environment, and also your cameras will be having some kind of an edge analytics. It could be a tripwire, it could be a missing object, it could be a abandoned object or whatever. So those kind of analytics, if your cameras are already having, and if it is on-with compliant, we are open to integrate those analytics also into the VMS platform, which will enable you to reduce your total cost of ownership, because you have already invested on your camera with analytics. So you do not spend it again on the analytics. Maybe out of the 200 or 500 or 1000 camera that you have, only 10% or 20% you will be looking at analytics as such. Or maybe 1 or the 80% of the analytics can be covered that way. Maybe only few you need to purchase additionally, even from us. So that also we are open. This is another point which I wanted to mention. Now, again, we'll be waiting for your questions and clarifications, if any. Farooq, make sure that they are able to respond. There should not be any technical glitches.
Mr. Krishnaraj has asked us if we can use this for any of the brands or NBRs.
Come again on the question.
Can we use this for any brand of cameras or NBRs? This
Yes,
comes from
that's
Mr.
exactly.
Krishnaraj.
It has to be on-with supported cameras. We can integrate with the Eyenor VMS. It need not be Eyenor alone. It can be any cameras that has on-with support. Yes.
There's another question from Mr. Shaji. He's asked if the licensing, please explain the licensing part of the VMS. Is it single license for all analytics?
No, you need to, there is, the license will be like this. There is a base license and then the channel license. That is how it works for the VMS. You need to buy a base license and then the channel license. That is for the VMS. And for any analytics, for example, say you have 100 cameras, we need to buy one base license and 100 channel license. Though there your VMS is finished. Now, in which maybe on the entry gate or maybe on some of the critical areas, you will be requiring some analytics. So those 10 separate cameras we need to choose and buy additional license. That too, exactly whatever be the analytics that you need to define and buy those licenses additionally. So it will be one base license, 100 channel license, plus whatever that 5 or 10 analytics that you would be requiring, that has to be bought separately.
There's another question on what the solution is to optimize bandwidth and storage.
To optimize bandwidth
and storage.
It is not primarily on the VMS. As you know, the compression is happening on the camera codec itself, and from there, like the H.265 or whichever be the compression that you are, the same thing we can support in the VMS Xpert also. We can work with any codec that is available. Some voices coming clear. Farooq, we are hearing some audios, but it is not clear. Is it?
I'm trying to see where that's coming from.
But I mean, this is not, I mean, anyway, we are going to meet again for the next level
the next
of
session, yeah.
in the coming days. And also you are free, feel free to write to us any queries. We are more than happy to address. And in your region, there will be Norden associates with whom you can be in touch, and we will be more than happy to assist you on any of your business requirements.
There's another question. They've asked if analog cameras can be compatible with VMS Xpert, or if they can use both analog and IP cameras, both.
No, see, no, we are now talking about IP cameras with on-with support.
I think the only way that you could do that was to use some sort of codec and take the analog camera into there to make it IP. And as long as that codec is ONVIF compliant, then it's just a video stream.
So the input has to be on-with. That's it.
I think that's all the questions for now. We don't have any more. So thank you guys for joining us for this session. The session has come to an end, but as I mentioned earlier on in the beginning of the seminar, it's a 2-day webinar, and we will be continuing the session on the 30th, where Mr. Sajan will be leading the session on traffic systems. Mr. Julian will be joining us as well. So if you haven't registered yet for that session, please do go ahead. And if you want to share it with your partners and other clients and your colleagues, please do go ahead and share with your colleagues. You could find the link on our social media handles. And please do look out. And I think someone did ask for the video for this session, which will be later uploaded onto YouTube. You can find that. The link will be shared on our social media handles. So please do go ahead and follow us on all social medias. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So we'll be posting more information about the webinar over there. So thank you for joining us, and it's very lovely to see a lot of people have joined us from different time zones. So thank you once again, guys. Hope to see you on the 30th again. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Julian. Nice meeting.
Bye, guys.
Participants.